Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order at 1:44 p.m. Of the Sacramento Transportation Authority on June 16, 2023. If the clerk could please call the roll to establish a quorum.
Director Frost? Here. Guerra?
Here.
Karpinski Costa? Present. Hume?
Here.
Kennedy?
Here.
Rodriguez? Here. Santu?
Here.
Bobby Singh Allen?
Here.
Spees?
Present.
And Talamantes?
Here.
And you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. If all could rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Face the flag. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Clerk, if you could please read the announcements.
This meeting of the Sacramento Transportation Authority is cablecast live on Metro 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T U-verse cable systems. This meeting is closed captioned and live streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays Sunday, June 18th at 2 p.m. on Channel 14. This meeting can also be viewed at youtube.com/MetroCable14. In-person public comment speakers will be required to complete and submit a speaker request form to clerk staff. The chairperson will invite each individual to the podium to make a verbal comment. If you would like to make a telephonic public comment, please dial 916-875-2500 and follow the prompts to be transferred into the meeting to make your comment. Written comments are accepted and can be emailed. Send an email comment to boardclerk@saccounty.gov, including meeting date and agenda item number or off agenda item. Or mail a comment to 700 H Street, Suite 2450, Sacramento, California, 95814. And that concludes our public comment and announcements.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, we'll move on to the first item.
Item number one are off agenda or comments from the public regarding matters not on the agenda.
Madam Clerk, are there any comments or folks signed up to speak for matters not on the agenda?
There is no one in online, and I did not receive any speaker request forms, and I don't see anybody with their hand raised in chambers, so no.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Well, let's move on to the next item. Madam Clerk.
Item number two is Executive Director's Report.
Okay, Mr. Busey.
Wonderful, thank you. Good afternoon, Vice Chair, board members. On June 8th, $38 million was recommended for award by staff from the California Transportation Commission. Formal awards are anticipated at the June 28th, 29th CTC meeting. These recommendations were the following three Measure A projects as part of the competitive Senate Bill 1 programs. $25 million award recommendation for the US 50 Gold Line Corridor Enhancement Project. As the board might remember, this is our number one priority that we submitted under the local partnership program. SDA submitted the application on behalf of the County of Sacramento and Sacramento Regional Transit District, and that award will be split between those agencies. The second award is for $10 million for the Sacramento I-5 Managed Lanes Project. This is also a Measure A project. Caltrans asked STA to submit this application, and the board approved STA submitting this application, and which resulted in the $10 million award that's being recommended. This is also another Measure A project. And finally, there was a $3 million award for the Grantline Road Safety and Freight Mobility Project. This was submitted by the connector staff, and it is also a Measure A project. So in addition to that $38 million, another $83.7 million was also recommended for award for the following projects in Sacramento County. $50 million for the Capital Corridor Regional Transit Improvement Project, with $25 million going to the Sacramento Valley Station or Intermodal Station, another $25 million going to the Capital Corridor, extending that into Sacramento County as part of their third track. And then $33.7 million is going to the Sacramento County Watt EV Innovative Freight Terminal Project, which is essentially just south of the airport. They're going to install a solar array with electric charging stations. That's a very big project. So in total, $122 million in projects are being recommended for award with Senate Bill 1 competitive funding in Sacramento County. Next item I have. So I want to thank the board for their support over the past 12 months. I started this job in June of 2022. It's been a great experience. I'm excited about the opportunities ahead and look forward to the challenges. So on a related note, it's anticipated that a one-year performance review will be on the August agenda. And that concludes my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Busey. Board members, file up those hard-hitting questions for that August board meeting. So. Okay, Madam, are there any questions from the board on this item? No? Let me, Madam Clerk, any members of the public signed up to speak on the Executive Director's report?
We do not have anyone signed up, and no one has submitted a speaker request form.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Let's move on to the next item on our agenda. Madam Clerk.
For your consideration are your consent matters 3 through 9.
3 through 9. Let me ask Madam Clerk, are there members signed up to speak on the consent calendar?
I do not see any members online. Is there anyone in chambers who wishes to speak? I do not see any.
Okay, seeing none, let me bring this back to the board. Members of the board comments?
Consent.
Been moved by Board Member Singh Allen. Is there any second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Board Member Rodriguez. Any further comments? Seeing none. Madam Clerk, if we could please call the vote.
Actually, you can vote at your station.
Very much. All right.
Thank you. And consent calendar passes by unanimous vote with the members present. Thank you.
Okay, very much. Consent calendar passes. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, let's move on to the next item.
Item number 10 is to adopt the Transportation Authority final budget for fiscal year 2023-24. This was continued for May 11th, 2023.
Good. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Now, board members, we've seen this a few times here, and I think we've had some pretty good discussion, but let's bring it over here to the staff on any changes or adjustments. If not, we'll go ahead and move forward with this item.
We do have one change to the budget, but I'll start off because I have kind of a little presentation. Good afternoon, Vice Chair and Board of Directors. I'm Dustin with the STA as the accounting manager. Staff is recommending that the budget hearing beginning in May 11th, 2023 is closed, and that the 2024 fiscal year budget is approved as it is before you, and that the budget resolution is adopted for the 2024 year. There's only one change in the budget document from what you've seen in May. It's the appropriations limit on the print page 58 and digital page 50. The appropriations limit was approved as item number 7 on the consent calendar. And this budget gives us a fiscal framework for the upcoming year, and the budget's balanced with total expected revenues and fund balances being greater than total appropriations. And staff are going to monitor the budget throughout the coming year, and if there are any substantive changes, we're going to come back with budgetary adjustments. And we did receive one public comment during the comment period, and that was attached to the board package, and we're prepared to address the comment if any board members have any, or any public speakers have any comments towards it. If you have any questions about the proposed budget, I'm prepared to answer them now, but thank you.
Thank you very much, staff. I appreciate your work on this. Let me go to the clerk. Madam Clerk, do we have comments on on item number 10?
We do not have any online public comments, and I did not receive any speaker request forms.
Very good. Let me bring this back to the board. Again, a motion to, council, is this a public hearing that we have to open and close a public hearing for this item? Okay. Let me bring this back to the board for a motion to open and close the public hearing and any action after that to approve the budget. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing, and let me ask a board member for a motion here.
I'll move item number 10.
Okay. It's been properly moved. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved by Board Member Rodriguez, seconded by Board Member Singh Allen. Seeing no further debate, everyone, if the clerk could put up the vote, there it is. All those members vote who desire to vote.
And the motion carries by unanimous vote with those members present.
Very good. Thank you very much. Item 10 passes. Madam Clerk, next item on the agenda.
Item number 11 is to approve refunding of the 209C2014A and 2015 A-Series bonds and debt policy update and related matters.
Okay, very much. Dustin. Or Mr. Busey's got some comments beforehand.
I would like the board to consider pushing this item to the end of the agenda while we need at least one more board member to vote on this if we're going to take action on this today.
Very good.
We're hopeful to get one more board member here.
Okay, not a problem. We're going to go ahead and move. For those watching in the public, we're moving item 11 to after item 14. Okay, Madam Clerk, please, let's move on to item number 12.
Item number 12 is to authorize the executive director to execute 3-year grant agreements for the Neighborhood Shuttle Cycle 2 with Sacramento Regional Transit District and Paratransit Incorporated, and to sign a letter of support for the Areas of Persistent Poverty program.
Very good. Let me bring this over to Mr. Busey first. I just want to thank Mr. Busey for your team and RT in looking at, one, the challenges and also the great opportunities that we have with this program, particularly for those in the Southeast Sac corridor. With that, Mr. Busey.
Yeah, I have a short and verbal presentation on this, so let me get that. Okay, so good afternoon, Vice Chair and board members. Last month, the board received 2 presentations by Sacramento Regional Transit and Paratransit for the Neighborhood Shuttle Program. Staff has taken the board comments received and finalized the grant agreements. As part of the finalizing the grant agreement for Smart Ride, SacRT was able to address the restoration of the eliminated or reduced zones in downtown Antelope and Gerber. This restoration was feasible with a recent infusion of $1.6 million in funding from unprogrammed ARPA funds. This will allow these areas to be served for a period of 2 years. STA will work with SacRT staff to find additional funds by 2025 to maintain these restorations to Smart Ride. With that, staff is recommending that you authorize the executive director to sign these agreements with Sacramento Regional Transit and Paratransit, and also to sign a letter of support for Area of Persistent Poverty grant for a future expansion of the farmers market and non-emergency medical transportation program by Paratransit. With that, that is my verbal presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Busey. Let me bring this over to the clerk. Madam Clerk, do we have members of the public signed up to speak on this item?
We do not.
Thank you very much. Let me bring this back to the board here. Members of the board, an action on this, and I don't see anyone. Mr. Karpinski Costa. Board Member Karpinski, how are you today? Good.
Technology. I just wanted to thank RT for including the route back into the proposed cut for the Antelope area. And I know they assured staff that the people who go get dialysis will be served. So I want to thank RT for that.
Very good. Thank you very much. Is that a motion that I hear, Board Member Karpinski Costa?
You got it. You got a motion.
Good. Thank you
to
very much.
approve the item.
It's been properly moved by Board Member Karpinski Costa. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Board Member Hume. Any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, if you could bring up the vote. All those members, please vote.
Thank you.
Very good.
And
Tally the
motion,
roll.
sorry. And the motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right, Measure 12 passes. Madam Clerk, let's move on to item number 13.
Item number 13 is the Sacramento Regional Transit District presentation and approval of the Transit Congestion Relief 5-year program and senior and disabled transportation services, and authorizing the executive director to sign a Measure A ongoing annual program memorandum of understanding.
Okay, Mr. Busey, I think we've got some guests here today.
Awesome. All right. I'd like to introduce Sacramento Regional Transit District to provide a presentation on the Measure A Transit Congestion Relief Program and the Senior and Disabled Transportation Services 5-year program. This is a combined presentation. And after you've heard this wonderful presentation by Mr. Anthony Adams here, the board can consider staff recommendations, which is to authorize the executive director to sign a Measure A ongoing annual programs MOU with SacRT. And I'll turn it over to Anthony for the presentation.
Good afternoon, Chair Guerra and members of the board. My name is Anthony Adams. I'm the Director of Planning and Grants at Sacramento Regional Transit. And it is my pleasure to make this presentation and show what our 5-year vision for transit is and our expenditure plan for Measure A funds. So just a little background, SacRT does cover the entire region of Sacramento County, and we have a few different types of services to cover different use cases. Not everybody has the same needs, not everybody goes to the same places, so we have different types of services to make sure we capture all of that. The first that we'll show here is light rail transit. Light rail, this is for longer transportation. This is in between cities, basically bringing people into the urban core so they can go to events and jobs. The second level is our commuter routes. These commuter routes are a little bit longer distance, also basically serve between the commuter hours of 9 to 5 or so. Next, smaller, is our our local bus routes. You can see there's much more lines here, about 80 lines, and this again has a more granular strategy to it, and also higher frequencies. Lastly, we have the neighborhood shuttles. So this is just meant to go in your neighborhood. You're not supposed to go across county with this. It's just to serve local needs, going to your grocery store, going to medical appointments, or maybe some entertainment. And also, if you are disabled or a senior, you have ADA eligibility, you are eligible for SacRT GO, which is our paratransit service. It covers the entire county, so you can go from one edge to the other if you need to for your mobility needs. So going into some of these summary statistics that we have, SacRT is the 9th largest transit operator in California. We serve over 3,000 bus stops and have 80 bus routes. Something that I want to really highlight on here is the third bullet that we have here. Over half of the riders that we have are low income and do not have access to a car. So not only do we feel that we are a transportation provider, we are really the lifeline service for many people in the community, and we take that to heart. So we want to make sure that all the programs that we have fit all the uses that our community has. And we'll talk about these uses coming up in just a minute. So we don't want to go over the history just a little bit and really the impact of Measure A and what it's had on SacRT's services. So we receive roughly 1/3 of the ongoing revenue that Measure A provides. We do it with the Air District as well. And what that does is provides us about $70 million a year, which translates to about 1/4 of the overall revenue of SacRT services. So really an essential part of our revenue stream and ones that we use to match and really operate these services that we have today. We also were one of the first agencies to receive the capital funding from the Measure A program and the first to deliver all of our projects. And these projects are listed right here, the last of them being in 2019. And what this shows is, if you give SacRT money, we will deliver projects for you. So think about that next time we have a new funding measure coming up. So as far as some of the programs that we're delivering for STA, this is our program called SacRT Forward. The timing of this was fantastic. It was about in the 2019 time area before COVID happened. And what we wanted to do was really spread out and flatten out some of the peaks of services that we had. We were doing services right at the early morning time and right when people were getting off of work. What this does is really kind of flatten that out, decrease the number of the routes that we had, increase the frequency, and also started to provide Saturday and Sunday service, which is what people are using now. So what's nice is we instituted this before COVID came, the timing was right, and actually since then, our ridership has been growing. I think we're at 70 to 80% of our pre-COVID numbers now for SacRT Forward. And as I said before, we serve over 3,000 bus stops, and we just recently approved a bus stop improvement plan. This was a Caltrans-funded plan looking at over 600 bus stops and how we improve those bus stops. So we use Measure A funds to do studies like that and also to match the improvements for those projects. Late night Folsom light rail service. This is something that happened just a few years ago, and we feel this serves a really special need. Light rail service used to go just to 7 p.m. That doesn't really work for people who are trying to go to entertainment services. They're trying to go to King's game, or even these late night workers. So what this does is it opens up more use cases for people. Now you can go to an event. You don't have to take a car back, which probably you shouldn't after enjoying yourself at some of these entertainment events. So really, we feel it's a safety issue as well. So we're providing the service, and since we have been getting the service out here, ridership has been growing all along since 2020. And since the Kings are getting a little bit better in their record, we feel that we're going to be serving some more riders once they start reaching the playoffs more regularly. So as I said, we do have some bus service right now. We want to make sure we innovate that service. We're looking at things like bus rapid transit. We have 6 rapid transit lines that we've planned for. One was recently awarded some funding, some so-called transformative community funding, Stockton Boulevard, $5 million to do the environmental design for that project. So Measure A funding is what allowed us to have a match for that effort. So Measure A is imperative to allow us to go after these innovative efforts, such as bus rapid transit, signal transit priority, and also another one that we just won in transit and intercity rail capital funding is rail modernization and train technology. So right now, all of our trains are analog. You have a button, you have a little lever that goes forward, but there's no data that's shown to any of the drivers. So we're going to digitize all of our trains. We're going to have signs at our stations that tell you when the next train is coming, and it's things like Measure A funding that allow us to have the match funding that we need to go after those grants. So I talked about the innovative part, but I want to talk about the nuts and bolts, the light rail system. We have over 97 vehicles, 53 stations, and also 22 park and ride lots. We feel that this is the backbone of our system, and it also serves as transfer centers, and we feel in the future this is going to be the basis of our mobility hub network. much of these stations are right along the freeway, and it's an opportunity for people to use park and ride lots, kiss and ride, and really to become mode transition nodes that allow you to get from your car to transit to bike and really get to where you need to go. So SacRT is also the CTSA, and we provide paratransit. In June 2020, we started operating paratransit services directly at SacRT GO. Prior to that, we were contracting out. And since then, as you can see on the bottom with this graph, ridership has grown nearly every month. Ridership was, and the demand was so high, we actually contracted out with USERV in 2022 to help with some of that demand. And you can see there what's in yellow right now. They have really allowed us to expand the number of trips that we were able to offer on SacRT GO. It's a great service that we provide. It really provides a cross-county service to really critical needs. But I want you to see some of the demographics that we have here. 70% of our riders are low income, make below $25,000 a year. So again, this is a lifeline service that we're providing here for people to get where they need to go, not just where they want to go. Look at the age as well. Over 50% are over 65. So sometimes when you get a little older in age, driving is not as safe as it is. So we want to make sure that we have these services, we provide them at a reasonable, cheap cost, and get people where they need to go. As you can see, it does serve the entire Sacramento region. We even go out to Davis on the west there because we have the Causeway connection. So really anywhere anybody needs to go within the Sacramento region, we were able to get them there with SacRT GO if you have ADA eligibility. As far as our vehicles, we have these beautiful cutaways. We have 4 different locations in which we dispatch them from, but one centralized location that does the dispatching. We want to make sure with these different yards, we're able to get them out to you quickly and minimize the weight that you have. One of the things we're really focusing on here at SacRT is our zero emission transition. We just recently put in a grant for bus and bus facilities and low-no grant for $22 million for chargers and 36 paratransit shuttles just like this. We're going to try to electrify them in the next year. This is probably our most popular service. Only gets about $11 million a year, but it was one of the first in the nation and is currently the largest in the nation microtransit programs. And this really serves special use cases. This is for people who need to go to the grocery store, who need to go to entertainment, who need to maybe just go to school or work. And there's some places that transit doesn't go. There's some times that transit doesn't go when you need to get there. And this really provides another service, another opportunity and a use case for people to get where they need to go. Finally, at SacRT, we take safety very seriously. We had a survey done recently in the county that asked how you can improve transit ridership, and the #1 answer was improving safety. To that end, just in 2023, we were an awardee of the Transportation Security Administration Act, Gold Standard Award. Only 6 in the entire nation get this. We were one of the awardees. We were also rewarded in 2019 as well. And that's because of the commitment to safety and also the programs that we have here at SacRT. One of them is the Transit Ambassador Program. So we have 32 transit ambassadors that will be on your light rail vehicles, they will be on your bus, and they will make sure that everything is okay. If you need help, they'll help you where you need to go. If there's an issue, they can call police for you. So it's a sense of security, it makes people feel safe, and also we've been awarded some awards because of that service. And something I don't want to pass over is this social services for the unhoused. We have a special staff person devoted just to the unhoused at SacRT. So that means that we're not having to call somebody when there's an issue. We have police, we have our social worker there, and we can address the issue right now and get it taken care of. So it's something that we have been using Measure A funds to fund and also to help go after grant funds to leverage these programs. So this is our 5-year strategic program, starting this year and ending in 2028. We feel it's comprehensive. It does leverage Measure A funds. It's forward-thinking, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to increase the frequency and operational satisfaction of the service. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, let me bring this to see if there are members of the public signed up to speak on this item.
We do not have any speakers.
Okay, then. Let me bring this back to the board. We do need a motion of approval to allow STA Director to enter in an MOU with this. And we have a staff recommendation before us. Any questions from the board? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll move item number 13.
It's been moved. It's been moved by Board Member Rodriguez and seconded by Board Member Singh Allen. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, if you could please pick up the call to vote. See?
Member Talamantes
Yep, they're coming here to vote. See, Madam Clerk, do we have enough there for quorum?
Yes, we do. And the motion carries by unanimous vote with those members present.
Very good. 9-0 there. Okay, measure passes. Madam Clerk, let's go on to item 14.
Item number 14 is the Paratransit Incorporated presentation and approval of the Senior and Disabled Transportation Services 5-year program and authorizing the executive director to sign Measure A ongoing annual program memorandum of understanding.
All right, Mr. Busey, want to introduce Ms. Fink here?
Yeah, I'd like to introduce Tiffany Fink here, who's going to present on the Measure A Senior and Disabled Transportation Services 5-year program that they will implement.
Thank you very much. And first of all, let me just thank Ms. Fink and all the folks at Paratransit for their combined work on looking, not only addressing the transportation needs, but also looking at how they provide and look at addressing the housing challenges that we face too. So with that, Ms. Fink.
Good afternoon. Tiffany Fink, I'm the Chief Executive Officer at Paratransit, and we're happy to be back today to go over the 5-year plan for Measure A funds for our agency. So really quickly, we went through this last time, but Paratransit has been in existence since 1978. We provide a whole host of mobility management solutions to the county and actually the 6-county region. We combine with 14 partners to provide upwards of pre-pandemic 500,000 trips. Post-pandemic, we're on track for about 350,000 trips, which would otherwise be on the ADA network. Next year, we are a consolidated transportation services agency. We are actually the first in the state of California and the longest running. The legislation was modeled after paratransit. Not everybody knows that. So really quickly, we do eligibility, travel training. We have the shared vehicles, which are those rentals, contract transportation. We train drivers, not only for our agencies, but for nonprofits throughout the county. We do vehicle maintenance and taxi inspections, including all the taxi inspection work for the city of Sacramento, and vehicle maintenance, including for Sacramento Regional Transit by contract. We have adaptive vehicle rentals, shared bike and scooter instruction, and then we do consulting. So quickly, we went through this. We've gone through and iconed everything, so you'll see these throughout today's presentation for recognition. But, and our mission overall is to expand mobility and accessibility by providing innovative programs and services to the community. And as we noted last time and was mentioned by Vice Chair Guerra, that we try and do that in a way that also moves forward other initiatives in the region, whether it's food insecurity, housing. The more that we can increase mobility to solve the larger community problems, we feel like it's a win-win, and it's the best use of money. So really quickly, I thought it might be interesting to go through what is the purpose of a CTSA. I know it's something that's not talked about a lot. So what we work on is consolidating transportation services for the following benefits. So we work closely with other agencies to help with combined purchasing of equipment. We actually loan out 75 vehicles to partner agencies across the county for them to provide transportation. We help provide the training of the drivers so they operate those vehicles. Most of them require a commercial license, and the smaller agencies do not have the resources to do the training or the cost if you do it privately. So we provide that. It helps also lower insurance costs. We can offer centralized dispatching of vehicles. So for agencies who don't have that, we come in and help train them or provide the software support. We have a very robust maintenance department. On any given day, if you look at our yard, you will see not only vehicles from Paratransit, but United Cerebral Palsy. You will see Sacramento Regional Transit, Asian Communities Center. It's pretty much, we have Carlton Senior Living from Elk Grove. Anyone with a cut-size vehicle who has a small fleet seeks us out, and we do their services for them. The idea is to incentivize them to do as much transportation off network as possible to be able to leave the ADA network for those who don't have other resources. We also do coordination of social service programs, and really it's aimed at eliminating that duplicate administrative overhead of trying to navigate transportation and grants. And so from that, the agencies who are identified in the legislation for coordination include services to children, employment, services for the provision of food, clothing, and housing, guidance, health services, so accessing mental and physical health, which is the access to healthcare shuttles we were here for last month, which, while it's not part of the senior disabled program, is part of what we do as the CTSA. We give access for recreation and then a lot of work for non-English speakers and then welfare. And while today the Measure A funds only fund the provisions of these programs that deal with seniors or persons with disabilities, it's the total of the funding we receive through Measure A and the Transportation Development Act at SACOG and our grants that provide the entire network that makes the CTSA work. Currently, our partners include United Cerebral Palsy, ACC Senior Services, Sutter Health, so all their adult day health programs, Salvation Army, Developmental Disability Service Organization, Elk Grove Adult Community Training, St. John's Program for Change, Eschaton, Easter Seals, Meals on Wheels by ACC, Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services, and River City Food Bank. Of them, all of them provide senior and disabled service except for St. John's, and that program is funded through our TDA funds. So our 5-year plan was in the packet, but I wanted to take that and kind of show you what it means in some data-driven efforts. So the icons we showed, these are the different programs that have Measure A funds that touch them. So a large portion of our program offerings are enhanced because of Measure A, from our CTSA partnerships and social service transportation. Where's WYAT has been revamped. WYAT is now an acronym for Ways You Access Travel Training. The idea is that you have a PIN, and we actually if you gamify something, persons with disabilities, others with skills, the idea of earning a token is very important to them. And so we've created that token that they can have to show the achievement, but it's also something they can show with others who've been through it. And our goal is to roll it out now that people are out and about more post-pandemic and create a platform where they can report back the types of trips they're taking and where they're going, so that we can start to see how much of the community people can access if they take this training. The Reliable Rider is a bus buddy program. We teach able-bodied individuals how to take a senior or a person with disability that they know potentially in their neighborhood and how they can be their escort on a service for them. So we pay the bus pass of the rider so that they can make sure that person can get there. Connections is our newly established volunteer driver program. So we offer mileage reimbursement for those who might be able to drive someone to a doctor's appointment instead of doing an ADA paratransit trip, and then our maintenance work. So this is through May of 2023. Year to date, our partners have performed 157,000 trips. Next year, we expect this number to more than double, largely because most of the pandemic for the rest of us was kind of done last summer. But for a lot of the world, for persons with disabilities, the programs didn't actually go back until January of this year. So 6 months of this year, they were really working on something called alternative services, which were services in the home. The state ended those programs in January and put everyone back to program. And so we've seen a rapid return. And so we expect these programs to basically double what we've seen in the last 6 months, which is on pace with where we were pre-pandemic. The social service transportation, which is work we provide, provides an additional delivery, 160,000 meals to Sacramento Food Bank this year, 29,000 meals delivered for a pilot program we actually created for individuals with disabilities that didn't exist in this region until we asked if we could start it with the food bank. And so we match meals to individuals with disabilities who can't access food security, and we try and match it to a trip they're already taking to eliminate an additional trip. So when they get on the vehicle, there's a meal to drop off at their home. In addition, we've done 2,551 meal kits, and just as a side note, the CTSA itself this summer will be participating with Sac City Unified to do all the food box drops for the children in Sac City's South Sacramento area. So on the mobility management, our program for seniors and persons with disabilities this year did 63 trainees. We have 2 trainers dedicated to this. There is a different Measure A program I'll just mention. It's what we're currently using the neighborhood money for. The Moving Youth to Jobs this year has trained almost 300 students. So both programs continue to be very robust and continue to grow. And that is our presentation. So,
Very good. Thank you very much, Ms. Fink, for that in-depth but brief presentation. Madam Clerk, are there any members of the public signed up to speak on this item?
We do not have anyone signed up to speak.
Okay, let me bring this back to the board again for a motion to pass authority for an MOU between the 2 agencies. Members of the board, an action here.
So moved, Frost.
It's been properly moved by Board Member Frost. Is there a second? It's been seconded by Board Member Talamantes. Any further discussion? Seeing none, members, please vote. All those, please vote who desire to vote. And Madam Clerk, if you could tally the vote.
And the motion carries with those members present.
Thank you very much. Measure passes. Mr. Busey, back to item number 11. Mr. Busey.
Yeah, for item number 11, we would need at least 11 votes. We only have 10 here. So at this point, we would have to come back in August, likely in order to take any action on this. And we, depending on market conditions, we may or may not come back in August, but we would like to come back in August. I don't know what the action out of that is, but.
Continuance.
Continuance?
Continuance. It's been moved by Board Member Hume to continue the item. It's been seconded by Board Member Frost on this. Members, this is, I don't think this is a debatable motion, so all those vote, please desire to vote.
I'm used to, will the clerk please call the roll?
And the motion carries by unanimous vote of the members present.
Okay, measure passes. Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move on to our last item on the agenda.
The last item on the agenda is comments of authority members.
Members of the authority, any comments? Patrick Kennedy had a long speech prepared here, but.
Sit back and enjoy.
Okay, very good. He'll postpone it for the August meeting. With that, that concludes our meeting of the day. Mr. Busey, if there's nothing else, then we are adjourned at 2:19 p.m.